We have Sahar Aziz, who's an associate professor at Rutgers University. Sahar, appreciate you being with us. Can you just walk us through what the fundamental differences are between these two pieces of legislation?
At this point in time, what we have is individuals who want to allow more people in from Central America and to allow asylum law to be more maximalist in terms of its implementation. And then there are others who want to close the border and they want to have a wall, in many ways similar to the wall that we see in Israel, that distinguishes between or separates the Palestinians from the Israelis. And so we're emulating this very militaristic model of having a wall between the United States and Mexico.
So there's two competing visions. Democrats have one idea of what is needed to secure the border, to prevent the terrible images that we see of migrants risking their lives to come to America. And you have the Republican version of that, which, as you mentioned, includes the wall. But this has been an issue, administration after administration. Why, for our international audience, from the outside looking in, can you just talk about why it is so difficult for Congress to pass comprehensive immigration reform?
Well, for the Republicans, race is an issue. What's happening is the United States is changing in its demographics. And in 2045, America for the first time will not be a white majority country. And therefore, what you're seeing is a push by the base of the Republican that is already very far to the right, that doesn't want immigration from non-European countries. And I know that sounds very crass, but at the root of it, I do think that there is racism involved. The Democrats, on the other hand, look at it as if, well, the more immigrants we have that are working hard, that are paying taxes, that are legitimate in terms of their asylum claims, then the more the country thrives, and that's effectively the history of the United States. We've always thrived based on immigration. There is a camp in the Republican Party that finds the far right in the party to be unreasonable and to be un-American. However, they're the minority. So when you start to see people like Rubio and other primarily Latino Republican elected officials, they're actually much more reasonable on immigration reform because they themselves are immigrants.
But immigration is not just about race. It's also about resources. There's a lot of disaffected Americans, especially within the Republican Party, that want their country to take care of them first. Mm-hmm. But what you're saying, though, highlights the fact that this has become a very polarizing subject in the United States. People want to pin, Republicans are racist or Democrats aren't doing anything about it. They want wide open borders. But truthfully, I think everybody is somewhere in the middle. But the first wave of Democratic presidential hopefuls are going to be competing on the stage tonight. And immigration is no doubt going to be something that's going to come up. I guess, how do you think, what do you think the American people want to hear from these candidates tonight? Because again, two polarizing views. Democrats, borders are wide open. Republicans, racist. They don't want immigrants coming into the country. Build a wall and close it up.
I think what Americans want depends on their view of immigrants. I think if you are an American who, unless you're a Native American or unless you are an African American, your ancestors came as immigrants. Unfortunately, there are people who close the door behind them, and they don't think of immigrants the way that they should, in terms of your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents came, they built themselves up, and now you are in a position of privilege. I think that's the fundamental problem conceptually on the Republican side. On the Democratic side, I think that you're correct. Some of them have a knee-jerk rejection of some of the Republican proposals. And what they need to do is a better job of showing that, no, we're not calling for wide open borders with absolutely no regulation. And in fact, we do want some restrictions. But we are operating under the premise that immigrants are good for the economy. Immigrants are good for the country. And I tend to side on the Democratic side because the empirical evidence, the empirical data shows year after year, decade after decade, that immigrants come, they work hard, they pay taxes, they're socially mobile, and if they commit crimes, they tend to be the minority and they're punished for it. We have a criminal justice system that deals with whether they're, if they are going to commit a crime. But to assume that every immigrant is axiomatically here to commit a crime is false. People come here as economic immigrants and as refugees fleeing some form of political persecution. That's 99% of immigrants today and in the past in the United States.
And in the meantime, two opposite ends of the spectrum. We're seeing, of course, this continue to play out in Congress, these two separate bills. Neither one of them look like they're going anywhere anytime soon. So the debate continues. I'm sure we'll be hearing more from the 2020 presidential candidates tonight. Sahar Aziz, appreciate you being with us. Thank you.
Thank you.